Hey everyone, this is Sherry and this is Terry. Hi Terry. We're going to spend a few minutes with you today talking about keyboarding technique. Terry's looking pretty comfortable at the desk here, and she's doing things that are not good examples of keyboarding technique, even though she looks really comfortable. So I'm going to point out a few of the things that Terry could be doing differently, and then we'll talk about what makes good keyboarding technique. So the first thing I want you to notice is that Terry's feet are not flat on the floor. And it's very comfortable for lots of people to cross our legs at the knees or at the ankle. But what this does is it creates stress on our lower back. So I'm going to ask Terry to put her feet flat on the floor. Terry's also leaning way back in her chair, and while it's pretty comfortable for us to do this, this will create stress on our neck and our shoulders. So Terry, can you sit up straight? Awesome. This is, for example, like when you were a child and your mother asked you to sit up straight like you have a string attached to the top of your head. The next thing I want you to look at is I want you to focus on Terry's arms and her wrists. They are resting on the desk. And I also want you to notice where the keyboard is. The keyboard is pushed pretty far back on the desk. So what Terry's doing right now is putting her at risk for a condition called carpal tunnel. The carpal nerve is in your wrist and it runs through your wrist in a really tiny sheath. So Terry, can you hold your hand up and turn it over? So your carpal nerve runs up your wrist, and what happens if you bend your wrist when you're typing like this, what happens is you pinch the nerve. And if you pinch the nerve over time and close it off, your fingertips will start going tingly and numb. And if that happens long enough, you'll actually damage the nerve, which requires, in extreme cases, surgery. So this is a very common problem with people who spend a lot of time at the keyboard. So to prevent that, we want to make sure that our wrists and our hands are all on the same plane. They're not touching the desk. And there we go. She's going to scoot her chair back just a little bit. And you can see here now that she's got a nice straight line between the top of her hand and her wrist, and she can put a finger width underneath her wrist, and you can see she's about a hand span back away from the desk. Now Terry is an average sized person at an average sized desk. If you are a really tall or a really small person, then you might need modification, and you can come talk to us and we can help you. So this looks pretty good. Terry's feet are flat on the floor. She's sitting up straight. She's not leaning back in her chair. The keyboard is in a nice position on the desk. Her wrists are not resting on the desk, and the back of her hand is on the same plane as her wrist, and her fingers have a nice curve over the keyboard. The last thing I want to talk to you about today is the book. You can see that Terry is typing material from the book that's next to her on the desk. And this is pretty common to just lay your material on the desk next to you, but what it does is it puts Terry's head and neck and shoulders at an awkward angle. A better way to do this is by using a book stand. Terry has a book stand, and we're going to put that on the desk and put the book on the book stand just to the left or to the right of the keyboard, depending on your personal preference. So by using a book stand, it places the material at an angle so that Terry's head and neck and shoulders are supported, and she'll have less strain on those parts of her body. In summary, sit up straight with your feet flat on the floor. Use a book stand to reduce the strain on your neck and shoulders. Curve your fingers slightly over the keyboard, making sure your fingers are resting on the home row, and make sure you keep your wrists off the desk to prevent injury. If you follow these techniques, you'll be a fast, efficient keyboarder, and you won't injure yourself on the job.